Oh, I found one. I didn't get it that time. I know. Oh, I found another one. Dang it, I'm not finding any. Where? Oh, there's some on... The ones with the exclamation mark should be the ones for the cars most of the time. Dang it, not the one. You want it to be like that? So it's easier to get them?
Add blue glow to prepare for liftoff.
You did? Where? They can be outside the city too? Oh yeah, because of the cars. 3 more. And then once you get it, you gotta click your build button, and then you should see a hoverboard. Then you hold circle, and then you should get your hoverboard. And I'll tell you if we can get it first try. Because sometimes people say that they don't have enough of the yellow cars to do it. Yeah, something like that. They should have a few extra ones just in case, right? Like, if you forgot to put some in, oh, you got a few extra ones, so you don't have to load into a new one, right? Yeah, we could have it right now, cause I found like 2, and then you found like 1 more, right? We might have to leave this one. If it says we discovered 100% of the map, then we have to leave it and start up a new one. Oh, found some. There's some in buildings too, I forgot to mention that. Is there 1 more upstairs? You need 2 more now. No, 2 more. Oh yeah, 3. This one just, let me get it off the marking. I'm gonna start doing all my daily quests. I think someone dropped one of the stuff. Where would the last one be? You found a layout radar. I don't care. Eliminate all. No. I ask. Where is this? Yeah, we might have to. We can't find it. There wouldn't be any more left. It's only 157. I thought it was like 10. We built a survival fort out of thrift stores and items.
Today, we're here in front of a thrift store. And we are going to be building a survival fort made out of items found only in this thrift store. And once we finish building it, we're going to be putting it to the test against natural disasters to see if it'll survive. And if it doesn't, we both get blind. Guys, be sure to guys,
No, I don't
guys, I'm
care
gonna turn
then.
off your
Little Heidi down to Charlie to really on Maddie Slay. Bidoo, bidoo. Oh yeah, and then once we get it, we gotta complete the mission for it to actually be there. I'm trying to find one that looks like it would have a lot of cars. Maybe this one would have a lot of cars. Boom.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. I go to a very prestigious high school that is really hard to get into. The tuition there is really expensive too. People often say, you need to be both smart and rich to be admitted into this high school. Each year the school gives scholarships to 50 students. These students are picked based on their academic or athletic achievements. I'm on the swimming team, but unfortunately I don't have a scholarship. My dad pays a small fortune to the school. My best friends Jasmine and Emily are also on the team. Swimming requires discipline. We need to train regularly. And so we spend most of our days together. As if that weren't enough, we also love having slumber parties whenever we can. Emily doesn't have her own room, so we have them at either my place or Jasmine's. By the way, Emily gets financial aid. Unfortunately, her family is not doing so well. Of course, this doesn't stop us from being good friends, but I can feel that Emily is not too happy about not being able to host a party at her house. We were at my place when it all started. My parents had gone to our summer home, so we had the whole house to ourselves. We had so much fun doing the silliest things all night. We sat around in my room and talked until really late. Then Jasmine went to sleep in the living room, and Emily and I slept in my room. In the morning, I went into my bathroom. I put on my contact lenses. The night before, I put my ring right next to the lenses, but I realized it wasn't there anymore. I was sure I put it there. I looked around, but I couldn't find it. I was really upset because my mother had her own jeweler make this ring for my 15th birthday. I'm sure it's very expensive, but I didn't care about the money. It had a huge sentimental value to me. I got dressed and went downstairs. Jasmine and Emily were making breakfast. I was just about to say that I couldn't find my ring, but I stopped. Emily slept in my room that night.
Gadgets to
In the
outsmart
morning,
the
she used
storm.
the bathroom before
Well,
me.
that
Emily is
started
my
an
best
arms
friend.
race.
It would never occur to me to
You know those
suspect her.
rumors we've been hearing about an even more dangerous part of the storm?
That's why I
A
was
corrosive storm that closes in on you, eventually swallowing you alive. Remember how I said that would never, ever, ever happen here? It's happening here.
Gigantic house. Imagine you have to call someone if you want coffee. A maid in a uniform brings it, like in the movies.
We need to retrieve the data before we're overwhelmed by the storm. So you'll want to move quickly. We only have 20 minutes. Keep an eye on the storm's movement on your map. We need to retrieve the data as usual, but this time we need to watch the storm.
Yeah, there's cars, but I don't know if there'll be yellow ones. Oh, we're not in a city. Leave it.
Keep an eye on your health.
Train the next day. We decided to watch a show in bed. We needed a laptop for that. We began looking for Jasmine's laptop. This room is bigger than our apartment. I wonder where it could be, Emily was saying. I told her, you take a look around. I'll be back, and went to the bathroom. When I came back, Emily had found the laptop. We watched for a bit, but got bored. Elsa had the puppies. Jasmine sent us pictures of them. They were so incredibly cute. We hung out some more. I have a headache. I'd better go to sleep, Emily said. She went to sleep in another room, and I waited for Jasmine. The next day, my mom and I were supposed to go shopping. She sent the driver for me super early. I had to wake Emily up. We dropped her off at home. Then I went to meet up with my mom. We shopped until 2 or 3 p.m. I was feeling so sleepy. When we got home, I wanted to lie down for a bit and immediately dozed off. When I woke up, I saw there was a text from Jasmine. I want to talk to you about something, she wrote. I was surprised that she had sent it only to me. I was curious and called her right away. You can't repeat what I'm about to tell you to anyone, Jasmine started. And the things she told me made jaw drop. Lately, I seem to be missing some things from my house every time we have a slumber party. What kind of things? I asked. First, I lost one of my pearl earrings. Then a ring. Last night, my favorite bracelet was gone. Unfortunately, I think it could be Emily. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's her. I just wanted to check if you've lost anything recently so that I...
Yeah, yep, just do a city
Sure, it's her.
one.
I couldn't believe my ears. I was feeling dizzy. I was about to cry. I only lost a ring.
I know.
I couldn't find it after the last slumber party at our place, I said. Is that it? Are you sure? Jasmine asked. Maybe other stuff as well, but I'm only aware of the ring, I said. I just remembered. I checked our chat group. Emily hadn't written anything, which was very unusual. Did you say anything to Emily? I asked Jasmine. I was so angry, but I held back. I only wrote, why? She didn't respond. I got even more angry. Don't you have anything to say? I asked. But that message wasn't delivered. Obviously, she blocked me. She must have panicked when she figured I was onto her. After hearing all this from Jasmine, I cried for a long time. Was Emily a thief? How was she going to face us? And how should I be treating her? As these horrible thoughts were going through my mind, my phone started ringing. It was Emily. I didn't pick up because I didn't know what to say. A few seconds later, she texted, "What's up, girl?" I couldn't believe that she was acting like nothing had happened. Didn't she know Jasmine was going to tell me everything? Suddenly it hit me. If Emily stole from us, she wouldn't be calling me. Could Jasmine be wrong? Maybe there was another explanation for everything, but I couldn't ask Emily, "Are you a thief?" If she were innocent, she would be so hurt to be blamed for this. As I was thinking, I had an idea. There was indeed a way to find out if she really was a thief. I hatched up a little plan and put it into action. I called Emily half an hour later. I talked to her as if nothing had happened. But Emily sounded really upset. I asked her what was wrong. She said she had a problem at home. Do you want to come to my place? Elsa and her puppies have left the hospital. Jasmine is taking care of them. I'll have our driver pick you up. We can go to train together tomorrow morning, I said. Emily didn't want to come at first, but when I insisted, she said yes. If she could call me, it was obvious that she thought Jasmine didn't tell me anything. So I acted like I didn't know anything. We talked about this and that, nothing important. Thankfully, it wasn't a long night. We went to bed early since we had a train in the morning. I woke up way before Emily did. I had
I
my phone
did.
set. I got up. Earlier, I left one of my beautiful rings in the bathroom. I went in and checked. It was sitting right where I left it. I had also put a bracelet on the bedside table. It was also still there. You got my plan, right? I put my valuables in different places around the room before Emily came over. And then I made excuses to leave her alone in the room a few times. I woke up really early in the morning and checked all the jewelry I left around to test her. Everything was still there. If she'd wanted to steal, she could have. I was incredibly happy. I woke Emily up. Girl, we need to go to Jasmine. There's a misunderstanding that we need to fix, I said. Emily opened her eyes. There is no misunderstanding. I will never talk to Jasmine again. She's out of my life, she said. What in the world was happening? How could Emily talk like this? I had to tell her everything, since we had a clear
Come on.
name. And I did. Emily listened
I did.
carefully. When I was finished, she was quiet for some time. Even looking at me, she said, "So you tested me." She was offended, and rightly so.
Lars is standing by to gather storm intel, Commander. Let's launch that van.
See, Jasmine is the one who...
Fill her up if you'd be so kind. I need to get back up in those clouds.
We're headed your way. Make sure to collect any blue glow you see.
I found one.
Is a psychological condition also known as impulsive stealing, she said. Then she read from the website. Kleptomaniacs are impulsive. They are unable to resist the urge to steal. They don't actually need the things that they steal. They feel a sense of relief at the moment of stealing, but they deeply regret their actions afterwards. While still in shock, I asked, "How do you know Jasmine has a stealing disorder?" Emily began telling her story. We were looking for Jasmine's laptop to watch shows that night when we were at her place. I found it
I mean, dang. They're literally saying that we should be getting it, but then it doesn't want to.
Shaken by all of this. I understand everything now, but what happened between you two? I asked. I think I thought Jasmine was lying to me when I listened to Emily's version. Emily was very upset, and she sent Jasmine a picture she took of her diary. Jasmine blocked her without answering, because she figured Emily knew about everything, including her kleptomania, which was also in that diary entry. The rest you already
Keep
know.
up the good
Jasmine
work.
called me up to hide what she had done and told me Emily was naive. She must have thought I would cut all ties with Emily and never figure out that she was the real one. Of course, the opposite happened. We stopped talking to Jasmine after that. When she saw me with Emily the next day, she realized that I knew. She turned around and ran. We are still in the same school and on the same team. We never talked to her.
Only one. This game doesn't want me to get a hoverboard. Man, this game must not want us to get a hoverboard, right?
Hey everyone, I'm Harper.
They don't want us to start driving around in it.
If I heard it, I probably wouldn't believe it either. But I know that it's true because it happened to me. My mom had a difficult time when she was pregnant with me. She had to stay in bed for 7 months because of the risk of miscarriage. As a result, she refused to have another baby.
Finally, got another one.
After I was born, they both used
Oh,
all their time
5 more.
taking care of me. They organized their life around me. I'm not complaining about it because I had a great childhood and adolescence, but I wish they had some other interests too. 2.5 years ago, I moved to another city to go to university. After I left, there was a huge hole in my parents' lives. For 18 years, I was the center of their universe. They had no idea what to do with themselves after I left home. First, they got a cat, then a dog, then a parent. My mom started
Got another one.
lessons. My dad started playing golf again. But none of it was enough.
Come on, if I'm lucky, we'll be able to get
As
it.
usual, she was crying about how much she missed me, and I was trying to console her. All of a sudden, I had a great idea. Mom, what about adopting a child? If you're really missing taking care of a kid, maybe you could adopt one. This time, it could be a boy. You already raised a girl. It would be a new experience. The first thing she said was, "Sweetie, I'm too old to be taking care of a baby now." I wish I had stopped there, but I didn't. Well, it could be an older child, maybe like 9 or 10 years old. You'd provide a home for a child that needs one, and you'll also have someone to take care of, which you clearly miss. She said, "Maybe it's not such a bad idea. Let me talk to your dad," and hung up. She called back half an hour later. She sounded very happy. Your dad is very excited. We decided we're going to adopt a 10-year-old child, just like you said. We'll start looking into it tomorrow. I was so happy for her when I heard the news. I didn't know then that something terrible was going to happen to my family because of me. Overnight, their entire focus changed.
4 more.
They contacted the necessary governmental agencies right away and dealt with the bureaucratic
No, there's 4 more.
around foster homes. They talked with officials who deal with adoptions. Now, whenever my mom called me, this is all we talked about. Finally, they reached the most exciting part. They were going to start meeting children that fit their criteria and then choose one to adopt.
Stand by to analyze the sample.
Yeah, leave it. There's none left.
Text from my
You
mom.
really should have returned by
Opened
now.
it and saw a photo of a cute
All these YouTubers keep always getting them one try, and then
Nice to meet you. I called her immediately. She was so happy. She said that when they first saw Beckett, they knew he was the one they were looking for. He was so mature for his age. They didn't want to miss their chance with such a great kid, so they started the adoption process right away. My dad was so cheerful now that he had a son. He's a perfect fit for our family. We'll give him all our love, he said, and I teared up.
ooh,
Because I'm very close to my parents, and I had missed seeing them so happy.
Mill. This girl's mom, dad, and someone else, and then a different person, they all cheated on each other or something like that, because there's someone with blonde hair in there, and none of the parents got blonde hair.
Like a good kid, I was going to visit them after I finished my exams. I wanted to bring a gift for Beckett. I asked him a bunch of questions to find out what he liked, but he wasn't very talkative. I felt like I was making him uncomfortable. Maybe he didn't like talking about himself. So I ended up just buying a game that I thought any kid would like. I met him a month later, but I was disappointed after spending some time with him. He was so arrogant, which is something I really hate. What my parents saw as mature behavior felt so irritating to me. I thought maybe he'll grow out of it to make myself feel better. Next morning, something weird happened. I was staying in the guest room because my parents had given my room to Beckett. This room had its own bathroom. I took a shower in the morning, then I was going to brush my teeth, but realized I left my toothbrush in my bag. I opened the bathroom door and I saw Beckett standing right there. Thankfully, I was wearing a bathrobe. He got so nervous and stammered, trying to say something. What was he doing in my room in front of my bathroom door? I was about to ask him, but he ran away before I could say anything. I didn't say anything to my parents because I didn't want to upset them, but I was suspicious. After breakfast, my mom and I were sitting in the garden. Does Beckett have a family? I asked. She lowered her voice. He doesn't have anyone. In fact, he was homeless. 2 months ago, the police found him and placed him in a foster home. The officials didn't know anything about his past. We didn't ask so as not to upset him. I was surprised. Mom, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean they don't know anything? What if he is a runaway and he's lying about not having parents? Meanwhile, my dad was planting new flowers in the garden and Beckett was helping him. My mom said, Harp.
In house and I'm in the house bored. Born in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house. I was bored. I was bored.
Harper, look at how innocent he is. You think he'd lie? Who knows what he's been through? All we need to do now is try to heal his emotional wounds. I kept watching Beckett over the next few days. Something about him didn't feel right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. On the other hand, my parents were so happy. So I thought it was best to keep my thoughts to myself. Anyway, what could I say? I just had a bad feeling about him, that's all. I was still bothered by the whole thing. Finally, I decided to call the adoption agency. There was no point.
You know how we're always coming up with gadgets to
Oh
help
wow,
slow
the storm would be coming.
This conversation
That
between us.
started an arms race.
She understood where I was coming from.
You know those rumors we've been hearing about an even more dangerous part of the storm? A corrosive storm that closes in on you, eventually swallowing you alive? Remember how I said that would never, ever, ever happen here? It's happening here. We need to retrieve the data as usual, but this time we need to watch the storm. Exposure to the storm will hurt you. A lot. You'll take damage when you're in the storm, so keep an eye on your health. We need to retrieve the data before we're overwhelmed by the storm, so you'll want to move quickly. We only have 20 minutes. Keep an eye on the storm's movement on your map.
I had a hard time keeping the conversation going since I wasn't used to talking to a 10-year-old. I said stuff like, how are you? How is school? He didn't say much, so after 30 seconds, I ran out of things to
I don't know.
I had a friend in high school whose name was Beckett. He had once told me what his name meant. I remember that.
What?
Landing site spotted. Nice find.
You searched the whole entire thing? Yeah, sure.
Know what your name means? It has a really beautiful meaning, I said. Right away, he said, of course I know it. It means warrior. I laughed. Don't be so sure. It doesn't mean warrior. It means stream, I said. No, he insisted. Earl means warrior. I was shocked. Earl? Who is Earl? I asked. He didn't reply. He stuttered, like that day when I found him in front of my bathroom. I was right. He was hiding something from us. Even his name was fake. I didn't say anything about it then. I just said, I have to go to class. We'll talk later, and hung up the phone. I was shaking from anger. I thought his real name is Earl. Why is he hiding it? What could such a young child possibly be hiding? I decided to do some research and find out who he really was. I thought I'd start with Google, but what could I search for? All I knew was that his real name was Earl. I typed in Earl and clicked search. Thousands of results came up. I was randomly clicking on things as I thought about what I could do. I ended up in Google Images. Suddenly, I had a great idea. I could upload his photo to Google Images and search for similar ones. I transferred his photo to my computer. Then I uploaded it to Google Images and clicked search. The results were not what I was hoping for. There were a bunch of random images. I started going through them anyway. I was almost at the end of the page. Then I saw something that caught my eye. Man who looks like a child steals diamond ring by swallowing it. I clicked on it right away. It was a news site. A woman went to a jewelry store with her child. As she was trying to distract the jeweler, the little kid took a ring and swallowed it. The jeweler saw it and pressed a panic button, which notified the police. So the police came and arrested the woman and the kid as they were leaving. The part that interested me came after this. When the police interviewed the kid, they found out he was actually a 29-year-old man. Apparently, he had a condition caused by a growth hormone deficiency. He stopped growing at 10 years old. These people are technically dwarfs, but they have normal body proportions. The article included the man's mugshot. Yes, this was Beckett, or rather Earl. The news was from 3 years ago, which meant that a 32-year-old man was at my parents' house. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I grabbed my phone in panic. I had to call my dad and warn him. Then I thought, well, what is he going to do? Is he going to drag him to the police? He's not a boy, but a 32-year-old criminal. He could do anything. So instead of calling my dad, I called the police. That was probably the longest day of my life. I told the police what happened. They went to our house and were able to arrest the man without incident. I visited my parents that evening. Thankfully, everyone was safe. My parents were trying to get over their shock. This Earl guy was already in jail. We don't know what he was planning to do. Either he was going to live there as long as he could by pretending to be a boy, or he was going to steal something and then run away. We'll probably find out the reason during his trial. We don't think that this was his first time pretending to be an orphan. The trial should also reveal whether he had other victims. Thanks for listening to my story.
What?
Lars is standing by to gather storm intel, Commander. Let's launch that van.
What did you say?
Fill her up if you'd be so
Thor?
kind. I need to get back up in those clouds.
We're headed your way.
I know.
Make sure to collect any blue glow you see.
I really love her.
Too many of them!
She deserved all the love in the world and more. It was bewildering how kind she was. I believe she was sent to this world to show others how to be a good person. When she completed her mission, God called her back. She had cancer, but I didn't know it for a long time. My parents hid it from me. I thought she had been visiting my grandmother for a while, but she was in the hospital. One day, my
I just broke 2 of them and I didn't get a single one.
to see my mom in bed. She looked so sick, and yet she was smiling. But she had a hard time speaking. I had to
There we go, found one.
to hear her. It was my sweet girl. Unfortunately, I won't be around much longer. But I'll keep loving you. Always remember that. I asked your dad to find someone else to marry because you're still so young. You need a loving family to grow up in. Please love your new mother. Be a happy family. That's how I'll be at peace. It's all I'm asking of you. This is how my mom said goodbye to me. She died a few days later. I was really sad, but I was also in a state of shock. A week earlier, I had my beloved mother with me, and now, when I was just 13, she was gone. It took me a while to believe it, but eventually I realized I had no choice but to accept this reality. One day, a few months later, my dad came up to me and said, Naomi, we're going out for dinner. I'd like to introduce you to someone. He looked sheepish as he said it. She was looking at the phone.
I promised your mother that I would bring you up in a loving family. That was your mom's last wish. Please understand me, he said. He nodded in desperation. He was right, since she had told me the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
I met Cora.
I only got 1 out of 3.
We weren't very close back then, but had reconnected through Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
She was divorced and had a daughter around my age who was living with her dad. That fact alone should have been enough to tell me that she wasn't a good person. How could a mother leave her daughter? How could she let her live in
analyze the sample.
I didn't think about that at first. In fact, I liked
Right.
her. She seemed
He really should have returned by now. I'll handle the sample. You search for Pop.
She was also really funny. I laughed so hard that night that my face hurt. On our way back home, my dad said, "You do, right?" I smiled and nodded. You don't have to love her like your mom. Not that it's even possible. All I'm asking is that you give her a chance, he said. I don't know if he would have listened to me if I'd said I didn't like her, but I still regret being so positive about her. After that, things moved really quickly. They got married, and Cora moved in with us. Now I had a stepmother. Both my mom and my dad wanted me to love her, so I resolved to try my best, especially for my mom's sake. However, I quickly realized that this wasn't possible. Cora was like the evil stepmother in fairy tales. Every day I would discover something new I didn't like about her. For one thing, she was a control freak. She didn't want the door to my room to be closed. Whenever I closed it, she'd open it. Finally, she made my dad remove the door. The excuse was that the door had to be painted. It turned out that she was also really selfish. Her doctor told her to consume less salt. From that day on,
Yeah.
she started cooking without salt. She wouldn't even allow us to have salt on the table. She said she'd be tempted to use it, and therefore we couldn't have any either. She also had weird obsessions. For example, she'd never use a public bathroom. She believed that she would get all sorts of diseases if she did. She wouldn't let me use them either because she said I'd be bringing the bacteria home if I did. A few times I had to pee so bad that I had to run home. One weekend, my stepmom's daughter Amy came to stay with us after my dad insisted. I was suspicious of her because of her mom, but I was wrong because Amy was nothing like her. It turned out that she was super cool and we had a great time. I think Cora didn't like that we got along because she kept on asking me to do chores while Amy and I were hanging out. For example, my dad always takes the trash out in the evening, but for the first time, she asked me to do it. My dad will do it later, I said, but she mumbled something like, do it now so that it doesn't smell. This is just one example. There are so many other things. She made me water all the plants. She made me clean the bathroom after she took a shower. She made me go out to the store to buy batteries for the TV remote, and stuff like that. We were surprised each time. Amy knew her mother much better than I did and said, you never know what to expect from her. I'm sure she has her reasons, but only she knows what they are. My stepmother kept on treating me the same way in the following days. I didn't understand why. The only thing I could think of was that Amy and I got along. I thought she probably got jealous because she didn't get along with Amy, even though she's her mom. Yup.
Flexible payments on USAA insurance balances. One of the ways we're here to help.
You're going to make our bed in the mornings, she said, but I protested. Why? I already make my own bed, I said. You need to learn to do housework. You'll need these skills later, she said, clearly making up an excuse. She was now making me take out the trash every day, too. Even though we had someone coming to clean the house twice a week, she still made me vacuum everywhere, dust the furniture, and to clean the floors after school. I couldn't say no because she always came up with weird excuses and didn't stop talking until I did. Sometimes I do what she asked just to shut her up. These were acceptable to a certain degree. The last straw was when she told me to wash her car. I won't wash your car. Who do you think I am, your personal maid? This is way too much, I yelled. She started crying right away. I didn't know how to react. This grown woman was crying like a baby. I ran to my room. If my room had a door, I would have slammed it. Cora cried non-stop for hours. When my dad came home, her eyes were swollen. He was surprised and asked what was wrong. Nothing, she said, acting like she didn't want to tell him. My dad kept on asking, so she finally gave in and told him what was wrong. Apparently, I was
she moved in. I was being rude to her when she spoke to me. I was trying to come between her and my dad. I could clearly hear everything she said. She was making up all sorts of lies, but she put me in such a terrible position that if I told my dad that she was lying, it was as if I'd be confirming all that she was saying. My dad came into my room hours later. He just said, "I didn't expect this from you." My stepmom twisted everything, so denying it would have made me sound bad. So I didn't say anything. The next day, when I came back from school, my stepmother held out the keys to her car, smiling. "Wash my car if you don't want to disappoint your dad again," she said. I did it, but I was so angry that I cried. I didn't want her to make up new lies to my dad. As I was washing the car, I got an idea. If I logged into her social media accounts, would I find something in her messages that would help me? After washing the car, I took out the trash, cleaned the bathroom, and took out the laundry from the washing machine. After a bunch
Didn't give you anything?
I went to my room and called Amy right away. I told her what was going on.
It used to always give you something when you break it, right?
"Do you know your mom's Facebook password? Any guesses?" I asked. "If she's still using the same password, it's the first two letters of our dog's name and her old car's license plate number," she said. She spelled it out, and I wrote it down. I was shaking with anxiety.
What? This isn't a city? This should be a city.
Target located.
Okay.
Drop the atlas on the target when you're ready.
Dang it.
I opened my laptop and entered my stepmother's email address and the password that Amy guessed, but it didn't work. Then I had another idea. I ran out and checked the license plate number of the car I had just washed. I came back and entered the new number. Bingo! I was in my stepmother's Facebook. I quickly opened her messages. There was a long conversation between her and her sister where she described in detail all the things she made me do, everything she told my dad, and how she manipulated all of us. These messages were enough to show who she really was. There was also a message from her ex-husband. Her ex, who is Amy's dad, had written, "Start living an honest life. If you get caught again, I won't do anything to help you out this time." He was a lawyer, so Cora must have been involved in some criminal behavior. I didn't know what it was, though. You can guess what happened afterwards. When my dad came home, I called him to my room. I knew it was wrong, but I had no other choice. "You need to read Cora's messages on Facebook," I said. My dad sat calmly and read through everything. He didn't say anything. He just took down some notes and made screenshots. Then he kissed me on my forehead and left. A while later, I heard the front door close. I guess my dad didn't want to have this conversation at home. He and Cora went out. When I went to bed, they still weren't back. When I woke up, Cora wasn't at home. While I was at school, she packed her stuff and left. I never saw her again. "Naomi, this was all my fault. I'm really sorry. I think we dodged a bullet." I talked to Cora's ex-husband. Turns out she really is a psycho. Terrible things could have happened to both of us. Thankfully, she can no longer hurt us. "We'll get through this together," he said.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. Have you ever heard of Cinderella? Well, I've got something to tell you. Evil stepmothers are not just in fairy tales. Before you go on calling me dramatic, you have to hear my story. My stepmother makes Medusa look like an absolute saint. Get ready for a story full of tears, crime, and a whole lot of corn. You're probably wondering, what's so evil about corn? Trust me, you'll know by the end of the story. You'll just have to be patient. In the meantime, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to... I don't even know her name. I don't remember much about her from my childhood at all, but I do remember my dad. My dad was charming and perfect in every way. He was a complete gentleman to everyone. Although he wasn't the most handsome or fit guy, he was a plumber and women wouldn't look his way. It was just us for years, and then loved it. Then, $2 changed our lives forever. We were walking and saw a scratch ticket on the ground. We figured we should try to play, so we picked it up and scratched it. We were only expecting to win $1 or two, but we ended up winning the jackpot. $5 million.
Yeah, this is the right one. Boom. I know, I got one and nothing came out.
Thank you.
I'm getting kind of frustrated because we keep not getting everything out of that mechanical car stuff. Which would just make it where we get it no matter what. And I didn't get it. Opened up 2 or 3 now. Still didn't get one. I don't get that. I wonder how long it took for YouTubers to get this much. Finally, I got one. And then we're only at 3 and we almost searched the whole entire map. Wow.
Stand by to analyze the samples. Right. He really should have returned by now. I'll handle the samples. You search for Pop.
Found one. Found one again. You know that, okay, we have to be close to it in order for it to work though, to let us see it on the minimap.
A little help?
No, I can't get. How are you gonna? Maybe there's a trick to keep getting it out of the stuff every single time that people are using that we don't know about. Found one. Got that one. Let's just keep searching hard this time. Remember, keep out your map so once you get an exclamation mark, you know if it's that. Because remember, you have to be close to the car in order for it to go off. We would have been had this done first try if it would have actually spawned first try, right?
Thanks again for your help. See you soon.
Believe it. If we search carefully next time, we might be able. Why? It's not giving me the option to leave with my party.
No idea just how different our lives were going to be.
My dad bought a mansion and a pony, and he invested the rest. Quickly tried to say to him. Turns out, think we win $1 or $2. But we ended up winning the jack. But I had no idea, and he invested the rest, quickly tripling his fortune. We were rich beyond our wildest dreams, and people started to take notice. It wasn't long before my dad was dating again. At this point, he could have had anyone he wanted. For some reason, he chose Taylor. Taylor was young and pretty, and it was obvious she was only after my father's fortune. But my dad was too love-struck to see the obvious, and always told me I was just jealous of him dating. There was this one time she asked me if I wanted to help buy a gift for my dad. I agreed, thinking she wanted to do something nice. I gave her $6,000 to go towards buying him a new watch. Well, she came back from shopping with a $20 watch from the gas station and a $6,000 dress. When I confronted her, she told me that she dressed up for him and her looks were the gift. Yeah, I think that particular event was the beginning of the end of my tolerance for her. After that incident, we were always fighting. We could barely be in the same room. I wanted my dad to leave her, and she wanted to keep mooching off of his fortune. My dad and I fought a lot about Taylor. Eventually, we decided it was best for me to go to boarding school. It felt like he was picking her over me, and I was hurt. I still feel guilty about what I said the night before I left. He said he would miss me, and I told him he didn't have to. Just to make Taylor leave. Who do you love more, her or me? I shouted. He refused to answer, so I told him I hated him and ran away. Instead of saying goodbye or telling him I loved him, I woke up early on the day of my flight and took a taxi there by myself. I texted him, letting him know I would text him when I arrived. Unfortunately, I would never get the chance to say a proper goodbye or tell him that I loved him. In fact, I hate you was the last thing I ever got to say to him. Turns out, when he got the text, he was so upset that he decided to drive out to say a proper goodbye. Sadly, he never made it to the airport. He got in a huge car accident. I was still at the airport when I got the phone call and left the airport immediately. I even left my suitcases behind. Sadly, by the time I got to the hospital, he had already died. I was devastated, but you know who wasn't? You guessed right, Taylor. All she could think about was what was in the will. It was actually the first thing she asked me when she saw me at the hospital. So, do you know where your dad keeps the will? I was so angry, but I kept my cool because I had some information that would hurt her more than any insult would. Yeah, I do, and he left nothing to you. I laughed. She nearly passed out on the spot. When we got back to the house, I pulled out the will, and everything was being left to me. Her face went pale like a ghost, and she ran out of the room while dialing the number to her lawyer. I have to admit, I got some satisfaction from her panic. Sadly, I did not get the last laugh. After she talked to her lawyer, I did not see or hear from her in days. She didn't even come to his funeral. I thought I had won, and she was finally out of my life. I couldn't be more wrong. Turns out, she had spent all that time away searching through the whole will for any type of loophole. Unfortunately for me, she found one. On the day of the official will reading, she was there with her lawyer. She had a smug look on her face that made me super suspicious. I waited to see if there was anything I missed, or maybe something she changed. But no, it was all going to me. Then the speaker said something that made me fall out of my chair. Literally. Do you know how in medieval times, if a prince became a king during his childhood, someone else would step in as the ruler until they were a full adult? That's kind of how the inheritance worked. Until I was 18, my guardian would be in charge of my funds. When the speaker asked who that was, Taylor raised her hand. My jaw dropped, and I immediately said that wasn't true. She was just my dad's girlfriend. She smirked at me and whipped out a paper. If I'm not your guardian, then what are these? She asked. They were adoption papers, like fully legal adoption papers. And to my horror, my signature was at the bottom of the page. I tried to say I never signed anything like this before in my life, but Taylor insisted I was grieving. Nobody believed me, and I was forced to drive home in the car with my least favorite person in the world. She told me there was going to be a lot of changes in my life. She told me that I needed to work around the house and get a job to pay bills, to run responsibility. She also disenrolled me from the boarding school I wanted to go to. I was super mad, and I said I wanted to be as far away from her
Da-da-da-da-do. Da-da-da-da-do.
It didn't give me much time to pack. At first, I thought this was because she was trying to get rid of me. It became all too apparent what she was trying to do, though. Let's see how long it'll take you guys to figure out the plan she had up her sleeve. When I arrived in the country, I was greeted by a woman who, to be honest, she looked very scary and strict, just wearing dark sunglasses and a large black jacket. It all seemed straight out of a horror movie. I told her I would just drive to the school with a taxi, and that's when she told me that I would follow her or else.
Oh, there's 3. I found 3 of them. Got 1. Come on, give me all 3. Come on, come on. Let's go. 1 more. Come on, please. Hey, make sure you're as close as you can be to the car. Maybe that's the trick.
A few seconds later, she started driving off. I'm assuming leaving all my stuff behind. All I had on me was my wallet and a
Dang
cell
it.
phone with no service.
I found 4 and got 2.
Finally stopped. She opened up the back of the car.
Wow, we would only have to get 2 more if I got all 4.
She just got back in the driver's seat and drove off.
Oh, I found one.
She left me. A church in the middle of the woods. Yeah.
Vroom, vroom, baby. Found one. 3 more. This is the closest we got ever since that first try. One below us, right here.
A lot of money to
Boom, 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 boom. Got one.
after 3 hours of
Got one, bro. 2 more. 2 more. But we gotta check closely. Just check closely. This.
I would have traded in my Prada bag and shorts.
Make sure that you're real close to it
I would have never believed
when you're done.
stayed.
Be real close to it once you,
Come to terms that my life forever. And
Add blue glow
years
to prepare
there,
for
one
liftoff.
day, my life was about to turn upside down. Remember how I said there would be lots of corn? Well, we're getting there. We had a long day of tending to the garden and praying. I caught a glimpse of something I never thought I'd see again. No, it wasn't a laptop or indoor plumbing. It was a man. Apparently, he was delivering some supplies to the church. Normally,
Found
my
one.
mother did it, but she was sick today. He was going to rest a bit before he took off again on the long drive.
oh my gosh.
He had to be about my age and was super fit and hot. He must not have seen so many young girls either, because he looked back at me with the same sort of fascination. He immediately came up to me and started to compliment me, saying I was much different than the other nuns. He was young, beautiful, and he was very attracted to me. I explained that I too was very attracted to him. When he said it was too bad I was a nun, I immediately corrected him, saying it was a long story. Before I could say anything else, the Venus nun interrupted us. She said it wasn't very ladylike to be talking to boys, and she dragged me away to do other chores. I was worried that was the last I'd ever see of the mysterious man. A couple of hours later, as I was chopping some firewood, I heard some whispers coming from behind the bush. It was the man from before. He told me that if I wanted, he could drive me
We better find it. I'm gonna be mad if we don't.
rocks in the back.
Look everywhere.
Distracted the nuns. Then we just drove
Found it. Come on. Please, 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 please. Yeah, baby. Oh, out of my face. Now we gotta complete the mission. Oh, if we don't complete the mission, then we have to do it all over again. Okay? We gotta complete the mission. We gotta do Lars van. Good thing where there wasn't a time limit, like. I know, yeah, good. Oh, 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 oh.
He had an internet connection at his house, which he did. Well, I didn't even waste a minute when we got to his door. I ran right for a computer and started to log into my Facebook and see what had happened. Most importantly, I wanted to know where Taylor was and who that mysterious woman was. Well, the most shocking thing about my Facebook account wasn't the thousands of missed messages. It was all the people sending their condolences. At first, I thought they were belated wishes about my father I never got to see. Apparently, Taylor told everyone I got into
What? Mm.
overseas and died. Since I was in a third world country, no one ever tried confirming the evidence. She had a death certificate and newspaper articles. My friend told me. If I would have known, I would have helped you. You can still help me, I said with a devilish plan in mind. I asked her to buy me a plane ticket back home, even though I had come unexpectedly.
Hmm.
Always carried my wallet in my robes. I printed out the boarding pass and asked the handsome man to take me to the airport.
What the hell?
He wholeheartedly agreed and asked me to come back for him when I had my life figured out.
Give me your blue glow.
The airport with tears in her eyes. She brought me a change of clothes and asked me what the plan was. I asked her if she could have the police come to my house in an hour because I wanted some alone time for a reunion. I showed up to my old house and could see that Taylor had been busy with my fortune she inherited as my legal guardian after I died. There were several expensive sports cars in front of the house and very expensive
Yeah.
statues that were there when I left. I went right up to the door and knocked and was greeted by a butler. She told me that Miss Taylor was busy, but I told her to let Taylor know it was a family emergency from her daughter. I wish I had a picture of the look on Taylor's face. She screamed when she saw me. How is it? How are you? She stuttered. I asked her if she really thought nuns could just keep me forever. Nuns? She asked, genuinely confused. We were supposed to be dead. Carly, get down here now. Dead? A few minutes later, I heard the voice of a familiar woman. What are you doing now, sister? I was asleep. She started. The woman froze when she looked at me. It was none other than the woman who had brought me to the church in the first place. They fought back and forth in front of me. They started throwing faces at each other and screaming. Apparently, Taylor paid her sister to get rid of me, but her sister couldn't go through with it and gave 50% of the hitman money to the nuns to take me in. Taylor turned and asked if anyone else knew I was here, and I got a very uncomfortable knot in my throat. I will never know if she was actually going to hurt me, because the moment she approached me, the cops knocked on the door. Even without the concrete proof of attempted murder, the fraud and robbery were going to keep her locked up for the rest of her life. Plus, she was going to be paying me back for many, many years. It was hard to get back in the groove of my old life, but I guess it's easier when you're rich. I ended up flying out the handsome man who rescued me to live in the country. He ended up hitting it off with my best friend that picked me up at the airport. It seems fitting that my heroes ended up together. As for me, I'm almost done with my university degree, and I'm happy to say I opened up my mansion as a giant foster home, so no one has to end up with evil stepmothers.
Hey. What would you do if you won a lottery, then your dad died, and then Joanne inherited $5 million from him, and then she sent you off so then she could have all the money, and then you came back one day as technically an adopted child? What would you do? I'll say, give me all the money back, boy. I would call the police, say, hey, come to the house. Come to my house, I'm alive. Now, let's go catch this girl. She tried to fraud and take all my money away. What would you do? The team needs you to help land a home base where it sends you back. No! Wait. Your team needs you to help. Please lend a hand before race sends back. What do you mean? Don't send that. Just send him back. Don't send me back.
Problems from people with privacy. I hope, if nothing else, my embarrassing story can be a lesson on what can go horribly wrong when your information
I'm getting off.